Welcome to Electric Treasure, where if it plugs in, we're going to try and help you find the value of it. Give you a little bit of the backstory of the thing, and so you can sell it with a little bit more wisdom. I've got some really cool items over here behind me. I'm going to show you those real quick. What you're seeing there is a little IQ 8300. It's a little computer clone from a ZX81 Sinclair, but also have a ZX81 Sinclair, a real one. You know what's interesting is I've got this case, this stand right here that goes to an Apple II, and believe it or not, in good condition, this can sell for as much as $200. So if I can get rid of some of the yellowing on this, this could be $200 just for that. That's crazy. This would be something that somebody would normally just say, oh, that's a piece of junk, I'm going to throw it away. No. I found it, and then I noticed the notches on it. I said, well, that kind of looks like the Apple, kind of like the old Apple style. You saw in there an Apple II over there. Apple II is pretty cool. That's going to be, that's a project I'm working on right now to try and clean some things up on that and get that ready to sell as a full working with original parts. Today, I'm digging into some ham radio gear, and this would be things that could be collectible. And I'm going to show you how I'm determining that. And let's dig into those things. It's an AL-80 amplifier. This is made by a company called Ameritron. And if you're digging through an attic and you start seeing things like this, and you're just like, it's probably not worth anything, I'm just going to chuck it. Let's actually start doing a little bit of research on this, and let's kind of come up with a target price of what I want to try and sell that for. That thing is a beast. It's heavy, by the way. But it is an amplifier used for hams. They hook these up to their antennas to be able to get a much stronger signal. And let's jump over to the screen and see what we can find out about that. So I'm just going to go to eBay first off here. And let's type in Ameritron AL-80. Wow, that one does not look like this one. This is just an 80 with nothing else on the face. It just says 80, AL-80. That's a B. All right, this one here, look at this. So this one says modified for 6 meter. I don't know that this one's been modified. So I don't know. That's closer though. So they're asking $750 for it, which that's pretty awesome. Let's see. We've got down here an 80A for $1,000. Again, that one has 2 meters on the front. That kind of gives us a ballpark. So let's start around this $750 mark here. Now let's actually go into some completed auctions. And this is why it's so important to jump into completed auctions, because what you're going to find out is when you look at a completed auction, what they did to sell it for a certain price. So let's go over to sold items and let's start digging around in here. So here's an 80A or an 80 AL-80 amplifier for $725. Man, the front of this one looks nice and clean. Now, the one I have here will probably clean up. By the way, eBay isn't the only place that you can look for value of things. I just find that it is one of the easiest places for me to look. Hamfests and things like that would be great places to tool around. So you could find a hamfest near you. You could take some gear in and probably get some cash for it on the spot if it's something that people want. All right. So, and again, I'm looking at what's already sold. So this can get a little confusing sometimes for people when you're looking at listings that are already sold. And this says it sold on Saturday, September 13th, pretty recent. And let's do see original listing. And let's find out what this says in here about this piece of equipment. Unit power is on, cannot test any farther, guaranteed. All right. So it powers on. So I can plug this in and actually see if this power's on. So I'm going to do that right now. So guess what? This one powers on as well. I just turned it on and it lit up. I could hear the fans going. You'll notice this light here. You'll say, well, the light didn't light up. No worries. That's only when you're transmitting does that light pop up. So really what I already have is something that I believe is close to this condition that they're selling here. Let's go jump back to the auction here and let's dig into this. So unit power is on, cannot test any farther, guaranteed. Guaranteed what? That's funny. But then it says selling is shown. Well, I mean, guaranteed you're going to receive this probably in the condition that you see it. Includes insurance during shipping, some scratches on top and sides. Well, I have some scratches on the top as well. So that sounds like it's pretty normal. Let's look at these pictures and see what they're actually posting on here for pictures. That's something we want to pay attention to as well. Yeah, it's pretty much in the same condition, nice and clean. You know what I'm also going to do, which they didn't do here? I'm going to take the top off, and I'm going to see if I can add some more value to the buyer by showing them what's in it. If there's tubes in it, what's in it. Okay, so let's take the top off and take a look there. Always make sure you've got your electronics unplugged before digging into the top of them doing what I'm doing here. People like this old gear because they work so well. They know how to repair them themselves. There's not too many chips and things like that in these. And it's kind of like some of these vintage pieces that people want them. There's a desire in the ham radio community. Danger, danger, high voltage. Do not screw around with this thing. So we've got a really cool looking tube here. Look at that thing, man. I'm not going to touch it. 3-500 ZG. And it looks super clean. This is part of what I love to do. I love to take the top backs off of some of this stuff and just look at it and admire it. This isn't very complicated. And some things I'm going to pay attention to here, by the way, and I'm going to turn this around so you can see this, but this tube and everything looks so clean on this side. That looks awesome. But let me turn this thing around and check out these big capacitors in here, these big blue capacitors, okay? They are not bulging. That is something that people are going to want to know. The capacitors are in good condition. Grab the old cell phone here. I'm trying to get my pictures so that I don't have a lot of light glare. All right, I got some paper towels here. And I think what I'm going to do is leave the sticker on here that says Stanley Whiteman, because I think that is kind of cool. And it might mean something to a fellow ham. I wonder how many of these were sitting up in somebody's attic and somebody just didn't know what it was. So they just tried to hawk it off real cheap, or maybe even threw it away because they might have looked at this and said, oh, that old thing, that ain't worth anything. And then all of a sudden you've got a classic piece of gear that is been thrown. To me, that's a sad story. Let's do a little bit of more research on this before I just dive in. I'm going to go over to ChatGPT. All right, here's my write-up that I'm feeding into the AI. I have an AL-80 Ameritron amplifier. It does not appear to have been modified, not from what I could tell looking in it, right? But that is unknown for sure. Was last known to be working and plugs in and the meter lights up, but has not been checked further. The inside is very clean. What might it be worth? List of sources, and I'm telling it it's the AL-80, not the 80A or 80B. So I'm trying to be as specific as possible with AI. Let's see what it comes back with here. From 600 to 1200, 725, which is probably just found the one that we were just looking at. Let's go for $800. Let's find out also what the shipping cost on that would have been. $61. I'm going to have the buyer pay the shipping. And I'm going to try and list this for $800. While we're in AI, let's go ahead and have it write the write-up. I happen to know that this was last known working, and it's been sitting in storage. Okay, it says be sure to include photos of the front panel, back panel, interior, top and bottom, the 500Z tube, which you can see. Illuminated meters. Oh, I didn't think of that. The serial number plate is included on the back. Let me make sure I got that. All right, let's get this thing listed and find out what we can get for it. Have one to sell down here on the bottom left of the picture. I'm going to click on that. And I noticed on this metered one here, I'm just going to crop it a little bit because I did not want looks like that's where my hand was up above. Now I'm going to look at that tube. It says 300 ZG on it, but people will look at the image. I'm going to ask AI if that's important to note. So it is a ZG tube. So we need to put that in here. And we probably want to put that in the description. Does the 3-500 ZG tube. Wow. It says here 800 to 1300. So I think we probably need to go to 1100. Commonly sell for 1,000 to. I'm glad I looked that up. I think we might be able to get a couple extra $100 for this because of the ZG tube. We're gonna list it for 1,100 bucks. Shipping method, man, these things do weigh a lot. I'm gonna go with the previous packing dimensions here as well. If it ends up costing a little bit more for the shipping side, I'll eat that. I'm okay with that. List it. All right, let's see what happens. Kind of excited about this. We're going to see if we can get $1,100 for that piece of equipment, the AL-80 from Ameritron. There we go. It is listed. It's online. Here it is. And let's see what happens. $1,100 would be great. Now you can understand why it's worth doing a little bit of extra research on these things. The tube was just like an assumed thing that it was going to be the 3-500Z. But because it's the GZ tube, that's worth more. So I was going to list this for $900. Now it's listing for $1,100. Well, for me, after splitting the money that comes in on this with the lady that it belongs to, that's an extra $100 for each of us, just because I did a little bit more due diligence and some research there. So hope you found this helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to post the link to this auction in the description here, so you're going to be able to see that. And if you want to track it along with me, then great. Have a great day.